there was no stigma around tattooing, or if tattooing didn't hurt at all, it probably wouldn't be quite the same as we know it.
Tattoos are obviously extremely important. They are the main visual, recognizable thing about them.
In February 2024, U.S. authorities charged the Japanese Yakuza crime leader with
Japan
conspiring to
Yakuza
traffic
member
nuclear
arrested
materials
on
from
suspicion
Myanmar.
of insurance fraud after cutting off
The most
own
recent
finger.
political assassination was shot by a senior member of an organized crime syndicate within the Yakuza.
サミットの人は死ぬぐらい。な死ぬぐらい。7 people, he said. 7 people.
Tattoos, a fascinating form of art that many of us like or admire. When you go around the streets, you find many people with their arms inked. Even many celebrities, athletes, and pop artists show their love for tattoos. But what if I tell you, getting yourself inked can tear your world apart? You will feel you are no more part of this society. Slowly, it will change your personality, and you will become a completely different person. This is not a script of any movie. Instead, this is the reality in Japan, or to be precise, this was the reality in Japan.
Some people make mistake, right? So they cut.
In Japan, they don't look at tattoos the way we look at them, because when they see a tattoo, they might think you are a part of the Yakuza. Now, you might have heard about Yakuza, but what is the actual relation of tattoos to these crime syndicates? Why are these tattoos feared so much? Some of you might think this is an overhyped topic, but in reality, it's much deeper and darker than you would ever imagine. People in Japan avoided talking about it for decades. Some people see them as a necessary evil, and others see them as just. They should disappear. The situation had come down to this extent that they call tattoos an art of shame. Tattoos were prohibited in many places, like restaurants, bathhouses, gyms, hotels, bars, clubs, etc. Even the tattoo artists suffered too from this whole thing for decades, generations upon generations.
For example, your occupation is a tattoo artist. When you're doing things like going to the bank for a loan, or you're trying to get into an apartment, sometimes they'll reject you based on your tattoos.
On 23rd September 2019, it was the Rugby World Cup match between Wales versus Georgia. Venue, City of Tokyo Stadium, Tokyo. For attending this match, many fans went to Japan, but some of them faced a big problem. Among the fans, tattooed tourists were barred from the commercial hot springs. Not only that, they were even asked to wear full-sleeve shirts when using the gym or pools, when it was 25 degrees outside, with 100% humidity. The tattoos are crucial for Yakuza members. That's true, but they're not used as markers to signify you're part of a gang, like they are in some places in Central and North America. They're instead a very personal depiction of a scene from the Yakuza member's life, or something symbolically important to them, which is meant to show people the attributes that person is known for. To understand it better, we have to start from the very beginning, from where everything started. During the 1600s, which was the Edo period in Japan, that's when the whole tattoo thing started. Back then, tattooing was primarily used as a form of criminal punishment, known as irizumi-kei. Criminals were marked with tattoos that indicated their crimes, serving both as a form of punishment and a means of public identification. For instance, murderers might receive tattoos on their foreheads, while thieves could be marked on their arms. These punitive tattoos were indelible symbols of shame, effectively ostracizing individuals from society and branding them as outcasts. Tattooing in the Edo period was often seen as a punishment, but not all ink carried shame. Decorative tattooing began to flourish as an art form, inspired by ukiyo-e woodblock prints that depicted folklore, mythology, and everyday life. These prints were meant to be admired on paper, but people began wearing them on their skin as bold statements. Therefore, tattoos became symbols not just of beauty, but of courage, protection, and spiritual belief. They weren't just for rebels or criminals, but for the common people, the ones society often overlooked. Artisans, laborers, and firemen belonged to the lower class, but they were also the backbone of Edo society. Therefore, when sumptuary laws banned them from showing wealth through fine clothes, they found another way to express themselves. They couldn't wear silk or gold, but they could wear dragons, koi fish, and fierce deities inked across their backs. Therefore, tattoos became their silent defiance. living canvases of identity, pride, and resistance. Now, let me show you the real backbone of this whole Yakuza culture. So, I need you to pay close attention. During this Edo period, there were two groups of people who started immigrating into the society, who started operating on their own: Bakuto and Takiya. The Bakuto were gamblers who organized illegal gambling dens, often in secluded areas. Their activities were considered illicit, and they were viewed with disdain by mainstream society. Despite this, the Bakuto developed their own codes of conduct and hierarchical structures. They introduced mainly three practices that would become synonymous with the Yakuza: Yubitsume, which means a ritual involving the amputation of a finger as a form of apology or punishment. This act symbolized sincerity and reinforced discipline within the group. Irizumi, or the tattooing. Bakuto popularized full-body tattoos as a mark of identity and allegiance, which we see even today. And last but not the least, terminology. The term Yakuza itself is believed to have originated from a losing hand in a traditional Japanese card game, symbolizing good for nothing, a label that society assigned to these gamblers. Now, the Takiya. The Takiya were street merchants who sold goods at festivals and markets. While their trade was more legitimate than that of the Bakuto, they too operated on the fringes of society and developed their organizational systems. Structured hierarchy. The Takiya established a clear chain of command, like a family structure, which consists of Oyabun, or the boss, acting as a surrogate parent to the Kobun, or subordinate. This structure emphasized loyalty, obedience, and familial bonds. Government recognition. During the Edo period, the government acknowledged the Takiya's role in managing market activities, granting their leaders certain privileges, such as the right to carry swords and adopt surnames. Protection rackets. Beyond selling goods, Takiya often engaged in protection schemes, offering security to other merchants in exchange for fees. The Bakuto and Takiya were often seen as rivals, but they had more in common than most realized. They both operated on the fringes of society, but their lifestyles shared striking similarities: elaborate tattoos, rigid hierarchies, and a strict code of loyalty. Therefore, despite their differences, they saw the value in unity. They could have stayed divided and small, but they understood that strength came in numbers. So, they created a shared code of conduct, rules that would allow them to coexist and expand without clashing. This wasn't just a truce, but the beginning of something bigger. Out of this union, the Yakuza was born. But unlike popular belief, the Yakuza wasn't a single group. It was a term, a label that came to represent an umbrella of syndicates rooted in the legacy of both the Bakuto and Takiya. Therefore, what began as street-level gangs evolved into a powerful, organized underworld. Now, let's assume you are a Yakuza, and your boss asked you to get tattooed. You went to the tattoo artist, or horishi. Usually, the tattoo artist will choose what to paint, but the story behind the tattoos will reflect your life story. The tattoo can consist of many elements, like tiger, dragon, koi fish, samurai, etc. And each element means something. The most famous, or you could say the most powerful, one is the dragon, but among them, it's the black dragon that holds the most power. That's why I'll talk about it later in this video. Most of these tattoos had different meanings for normal people, but for the Yakuza, they meant something else entirely. Like in Japanese culture, a dragon represents wisdom and strength. It's a protector, a sacred figure. But in the Yakuza, that same dragon means power, the silent kind that doesn't ask permission. A koi fish stands for endurance, determination, and courage. It swims upstream against impossible odds. In the Yakuza, it's a symbol of surviving a world that never wanted you to win. Tigers are guardians. They fight off evil spirits, bad luck, and betrayal. In Yakuza, it's perfect for a life where trust is rare and enemies are everywhere. Samurai tattoos carry Bushido, the old code of honor, discipline, and sacrifice. Yakuza, who see themselves as modern warriors, ink samurai onto their bodies as a sign that they still live by a code, even if it's not society's code. Cherry blossoms, light and delicate, are a reminder that nothing lasts forever. In the criminal world, that's the reality. Every beautiful thing eventually falls. Now, let's talk about the black dragon tattoo. In Yakuza, the black dragon is indeed considered one of the most powerful and respected symbols, but whether it's the most powerful depends on context, placement, and the narrative behind the tattoo. There are many colorful dragons, and each color represents something. Blue means gentleness, red means passion, yellow means virtue, but the black dragon symbolizes deep wisdom gained through suffering and struggle. But they have to earn this tattoo. Therefore, the bearer has to endure immense trials and emerge stronger. But, as I said before, the placement of the tattoo matters too. Therefore, full-back black dragon tattoos were considered a higher rank Yakuza, often veterans, enforcers, or right-hand men to the boss. So, it's not a beginner's tattoo. Usually, in Japanese dragons, they have 3 claws, but in Chinese culture, they have 5-clawed dragons. If you are a Yakuza, you can't have a 5-clawed dragon, although more claws mean more power, but it's not part of the Yakuza or Japanese culture. The 3-clawed dragon represents 3 different things: spiritual balance, nature's power, and courage. Alright, so now your tattoo has been decided, placement has been decided, now it's time to get inked. But that is the real test. Because the horishi uses a traditional Japanese inking technique called Tebori, which means to carve by hand. This is an extremely painful process, much more painful than the modern tattoo-making process. Therefore, a full-body tattoo is a sign of toughness and masculinity. Tebori uses a wooden or metal rod with needles tightly bound to the end. The artist dips the needles into ink and then taps them into the skin manually, hundreds of times per minute. This craft requires an extreme level of skill, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, which is why there are fewer than 100 traditional Japanese tattoo makers in the world. And it's very time-consuming as well. Like a single sleeve can take 30 to 40 hours, usually spread over multiple sessions, whereas a full back piece can take over 100 hours. But the most unique feature about Tebori tattoos is that it works the opposite of how modern tattoo works. Usually, modern tattoos look good when they are freshly made, and with time, the colors start fading away. But with the Tebori tattoo, it looks dull when it's made. But after many years, as time goes by, it starts to shine brighter. As the man matures, the tattoo also matures with him. The color becomes much richer and brighter. Now, although tattooing itself is legal in Japan, individuals identified as Yakuza members face strict legal restrictions. New rules were made to exclude gang members from every aspect of civil life. For example, banks have been directed to deny accounts to people with known gangster affiliations. Even life insurance firms now include clauses allowing them to cancel policies if the insured is found to be a gang member. Life insurers historically looked for telltale signs like gang tattoos during screening. And since the crackdown, they can even refuse payouts or void a contract upon discovering Yakuza ties. The government has also explicitly barred mobsters from receiving certain public benefits. In 2006, Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare issued a ban on paying welfare to active Yakuza. Some municipalities likewise refused to rent public housing to known mobsters. Within the Yakuza subculture, tattoos are worn with pride among comrades, but even Yakuza members understand the need to hide them around the general public. As one Yakuza tattoo artist explained, the group treats tattoos as something private. They commit to full bodysuits that can't be seen above any collars or cuffs, respecting the unspoken rule in Japanese society that such displays are taboo. They were banned from many social benefits and places which sometimes were beneficial for them. Like Yakuza members used to meet in communal bathhouses, mainly because the lack of clothing meant rival gangs meeting each other could figure out who they were dealing with by the artwork on their bodies. The other reason meeting up in bathhouses is important is that you see that nobody has a concealed weapon because you're all naked. After all of these, things have changed a lot. Modern Yakuza groups are shrinking as the police crackdowns have made recruitment harder. Many younger members don't want to be marked for life because tattoos make them easy to spot, easy to track, and harder to blend in. Even veteran tattoo artists say fewer people ask for full body suits now. The new generation doesn't want the pain or the commitment. But while criminals move away from tattoos, the culture around them is shifting. So, what do you think about this? If there is any value I have provided through this video, make sure to like it, comment on your thoughts, and subscribe to my channel.